I just graduated high school last year, which is when what I'm about to tell you took place. Easter has always been a fun time of the year for my friends and I, but not for the reason you think we've outgrown those childish Easter egg hunts that everyone does when they're little. And I honestly cringe when my parents make me participate in one with my younger cousins. A few years ago I code, and remember exactly when my friends and I created a fun twist on the typical egg hunt format and devised our own game. It est not really that special. It est not really that special. It est basically just a mashup of manhunts and an Easter egg hunt. It est two teams like manhunts, but the Seekers are also responsible for hiding and protecting a few eggs. If the hiders manage to capture all the eggs, they win. And if the Seekers do find all the hiders within a certain time frame, the hiders also win. There are some other dumb rules, like how the Seekers couldn't be camping, where any of the eggs are hidden and stuff like that. But that is not super relevant to the story. It was the Thursday before Easter, and school was cancelled the next day for whatever reason. So we decided to have a sleepover that night. It was me, Jake Ray. Was me, Jake Race, Chuck Arthur, and Roz Wazunda. Actually his real name. His last name was Razi, but everyone just called him Roz. His family had the biggest house, by far, so he'd always chill. Pease lived in the middle of nowhere, and his backyard bordered a decently sized wooded area. Plus, his parents were out of town until Friday night, so we'd have the place to ourselves. We were just chilling, playing video games in his basement when Chuck suggested we play Manhunt. We were all down, so we rounded up whatever flashlights Raz had in his garage. We used a random number generator on J's phone to pick random teams, just to keep it fair and unpredictable. I was on a team with Chuck and Raz, and we were seeking Jake, and Arthur were hiding. Raz's mom had a ton of plastic eggs upstairs, so we grabbed a couple of them and all of us went outside. We played back there a bunch of times before, so we already knew the layout. The far boundary was the fence line, and the other edges were the creek and the back slope that ran down toward Raz S. neighbor's horse pasture. We set timers on our phones to give the hiders enough time to hide and us time to hide our eggs. Once 10 minutes passed, the game had officially begun. I should also mention that the sun had already gone down, but it was completely dark out. Yet once the timer went off, we all split up to cover more ground. I veered left into a thicker patch of trees, while Raz and Chuck went the other way. I kept my hand over my flashlight, just skimming the ground every few steps so that I wouldn't trip. But I mostly relied on the moonlight to see. Poof. The game was way more fun when you actually felt like you were sneaking around. And besides, if one of the hiders saw a flashlight beam coming toward them, they just book it a few minutes in, I thought. I saw something moved 20 or 30 feet in front of me. At first I couldn't tell if I was imagining it, but then, I saw it again. I instantly turned my flashlight off in frozen place. Someone was crouching behind a tree up ahead. They'd definitely have run off. They were, and moving. like they were trying to stay perfectly still. My first guess was that it was Race. He always picked spots close to the Seekers, thinking no one would expect it. I decided to try to get the jump on it. I crouched down a bit myself and started moving slowly, trying to circle around behind him. When I got close enough, I sprang forward and lunged at whoever was crouching there, tapping him hard on the shoulder and yelling, "Gotcha!" By the second he turned around, I felt a wave of fear wash over me. It was on any of my friends. It was a grown man with slicked back hair and these wide open eyes like he was on drugs. His clothes were all torn up and he smelled awful. I was so taken back that I didn't even realize what was going on. Before I could react, he tackled me to the ground. I screamed as I hit the dirt, but before I could yell out again, his hands were around my throat. He was pressing down with all his weight, and in that moment I honestly thought my life was over. I couldn't breathe, and I didn't have the strength to overpower him from that position, and then out of nowhere he stopped out of the corner of my eye. I saw a flashlight beam bouncing off the trees somewhere behind us. One of my friends must have been running towards us. The guy must have seen the light too. Bay, because he jumped off without saying a word and straight up ran into the woods, disappearing almost immediately. I just laid there gasping for air, still too stunned to move a few seconds later. Chuck reached me, helped me up, and said he saw the whole thing. I wanted to chase after that guy, but Chuck told me that was an awful idea. So the two of us instead ran back towards the house. Chuck called the rest of the crew and told everyone to go back to Ra's house immediately. Once we all reconvened, I told everyone what happened after Chuck filled in the rest of the gap. Everyone started talking over each other. But then Arthur said something that shut all of us up. He said that before the game even started, meaning before the initial 10 minutes were up, he saw two people walking through the trees near where he was hiding. He said they were moving slowly, like they were scouting or waiting for something. And he'd actually gotten pissed at the time, because he thought it was two of the Seekers teaming up and breaking the rules that when Machuca and Raz all looked at each other and immediately shook our heads. None of us had been walking together, and there was no way we could have gotten all the way to their side in such a short time frame anyway. The realization hit us all at once. If it was onto any of us, then there were at least 3 other people out in those woods that night. 1 who attacked me, and 2 more who were moving around. Before the game had even started in that moment, I realized how smart I had been for listening to Chuck and not chasing after my attacker. He might have saved me from walking head first into an ambush. I told everyone we needed to call the cops. I mean, I had literally been attacked. But the second I said it, Raz cut me off. He got weirdly serious and said, "No, we read not calling anyone." I asked him what in the world he was talking about, and he said he was technically grounded, and beyond that he wasn't allowed to host anyone while his parents were out of town, so involving the cops would get him in serious hot water. I told him this was a serious situation and worth involving the police. But he did unbudge. The rest of the guys were kind of stuck in the middle. No one wanted to put Raz in a bad spot with his parents. But I could tell that they were all having a hard time, just pretending that the whole thing didn't happen. Eventually, I caved and agreed to not call the police, and try to just enjoy the rest of the night. But I was seriously shaken. I ended up going to bed early that night, and left Raz's house the next morning before anyone else was awake. This might surprise some of you, but I actually was untoo affected by this experience. I very much of the mentality that things happen and people have to move on. So that's what I did anyway. About a week after everything went down, Raz told us all that he felt bad, just leaving those Easter eggs out in the woods, so he'd gone to collect them. Even though he was scared out of his mind, we all got a good laugh out of that. But his comment made me think back to that night and contemplate my life a little. I have no idea what those men were doing in those woods that night. But I can confidently say that I won't be spending the night at Raz's place anytime soon anyway. I am at college now, and I am far, far away from Raz's backyard. But being as Easter is coming up next month, I got reminded of this.